We're going to talk about some math vocab words today that relate to area and perimeter. When we talk about area, we are talking about a shape such as, and we'll be focusing on just rectangles or squares, but when we talk about area, we talk about area as being the inside space that an object takes up. Okay, so as you can see there, I have shown you what inside of that rectangle looks like. Then when we talk about, if I draw another rectangle down here, if we talk about perimeter, we are talking about the outside, just the line. So like this line here, and this line here, this line here, and this line here. So we're talking about the outside of that shape. So we have inside, which is area, and outside, which is perimeter. Next thing I want to discuss with you is how you go about finding area. So area is, formula for area is length times width. Area is length times width. And length can also be like how tall an object is, or also like height. So those words are interchangeable with that. So length times width. If we go back to this one I've already shaded in, if we know that the one side of that rectangle is an 8, and we know the other side is a 5, in order to find area of that rectangle, we would take the length, which in this case, it doesn't matter which one you use, but most of the time when we think length, we're kind of talking about height, which would be 5 times 8, which would be how wide that rectangle is. So 5 times 8, which is 40. So we know the area, which we designate with an A, equals 40 units squared. In this case we didn't have units, I didn't mark units, but units squared. Or you could say square units, either is fine. Okay? So that's area. Now if we were going to take that same rectangle, and let's say that again it's 8 by 5, and we wanted to find the perimeter, the distance around this whole thing on the outside, we can say that perimeter equals a length plus a width plus a length plus a width. So let's do this. So we know the length of this thing, which we're going to say is how tall, would be a 5, plus a width, which would be an 8. And if we started here, we went up 5, and then we went over 8, and we're only halfway around this thing, so we still have to go down and then back. So we still have another plus 5, and then plus 8. And when we do 5 plus 8, we get 13. And we know the other 5 plus 8 is also 13, and 13 plus 13 gives us 26. So we know the perimeter of this shape altogether would be 26. So the perimeter equals 26. And this is just plain old units. Alright? And the reason up here why we get units squared is because we're figuring out how many 1 by 1 squares can fit into this space. And down here, we are just going on the outside, figuring out the length of all these lines together, which isn't a 2D shape. It's just a 1D shape. So we have 2D, which is a length and a width together, and we have 1D, which is just lines.